Right. Welcome. Welcome to A Voice from Heaven. Isn't that an amazing title? Like a voice from heaven is actually speaking to you. Am I from heaven? Are you seriously? Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. This is a voice from heaven. Wow. You never heard it like that, did you? A voice of heaven is speaking to you in this instant. It has nothing to do with this world as you perceive it, and that's really great, because that world doesn't exist in the first place. Now, what are you going to do? So this is a voice from heaven speaking to you from out of time directly into wherever you find yourself. Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's like a time warp or something. It's like something going on. Now I can speak to you directly from out of time. I can speak to you in the pure sense of communication directly. And I can do that without even associating with you in time and space. Like, I don't want to hear anything about it, you could say. I don't want to hear anything about it. I know time and space, but it has nothing to do with reality. Not at all. So here's a voice from heaven, a voice from heaven. Now, the first question that comes up today in the daily lesson is in fact this one. Is heaven a choice? Is heaven a choice? So here I am speaking to you from out of time, a voice from heaven, talking to you the truth of you, recognizing the truth of you, embodying the truth of you, and asking you this question: is heaven a choice? Can you see how incredible that is? That even this question is totally incredible and answers itself right on the spot. Right? A voice from heaven is speaking to you in this instant, reminding you of the truth about you, which has nothing to do with any definition that you give it, but it comes with one question: is heaven a choice? How great is that? Now, we're going to come down, so to speak, to Earth, to planet Earth, with this idea. Excuse me. In this insanely complicated world that you find yourself, you recognize that, right? So in this insanely complicated world, is it insanely complicated? Yeah. For instance, I lose my bank card and I try to buy groceries. Now, what do I have to do in order to make that happen? I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that, and then suddenly, well, probably 3 days later, I'm able to do my groceries. Right? So this is just one example. So in this insanely complicated world, are you still not convinced of the insanely complicated part of the world? Well, try to sign yourself up for something these days. Like, if you try to sign yourself up for something, you will have to fill in all kinds of papers. Like, it is a bureaucracy in itself. And you don't even know what you're going to get. You don't even know if it worked or any kind of those things. So it's insanely complicated. So here in this world that we're talking about, heaven, which is simplicity in itself, appears to take the form of choice, rather than merely being what it is. Like it appears to take a form of choice. Now this has a very specific reason why it even has the form of choice. And I'll come back to that later. Rather than merely being what it is. Of all the choices you have tried to make, this is the simplest, right? Most definitive and prototype of all the rest. The one which settles all decisions. Is having a choice. Of all the choices you have tried to make, this is the simplest one, the most definitive one, and prototype of all the rest. The one which settles all decisions. Okay, yeah, I like that. That sounds really great. Some simplicity into my world would be wonderful. If you could decide the rest, this one remains unsolved. Like you're looking for answers to the questions in the world. And even if you would solve all those questions, this one would still remain as having a choice. That one would remain unsolved. You still haven't answered this one question. Is having a choice. But when you solve this one, the others are resolved with it for all decisions, but conceal this one by taking different forms. So in fact it all comes down to the idea is having a choice. So all decisions that you make in the world have in fact to do with covering up this one question, is having a choice. So in this insanely complicated world that appears to be so insanely complicated, it is made complicated just to conceal this one choice. In fact, this one question is having a choice. Here is the final and only choice in which is truth accepted or denied. So here it is. Heaven is this decision I must make. And the only decision I have to make. The rest takes care of itself. I only have to decide this. Now that's interesting, isn't it? It's like heaven is the decision I must make. Here's the final and only choice in which is truth accepted or denied. Heaven is the decision I must make. So all the complexities of the world are just to cover up this one question, is having a choice. So that's why I bring it in. Now, see, the thing is, and this comes back to everything that we do anyway. So that's why I put some attention, like that's why I give this attention in this point. So why does it appear, like why doesn't it even have a form of a choice? Well, a voice from heaven is speaking to you. Like what would be the choice to make? Now, this is really important for, say, your understanding of what is going on in this Course in Miracles, in this spiritual development, in this transformation that you find yourself in. So what is occurring? Well, there are, say, the means to receive this, to actually get this, to actually come to, say, a deep experience of this. In fact, to allow truth to be true, it needs to come to you in a form that you can actually deal with, in a form that you will recognize. Otherwise, you would never be able to accept it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like this has to do with the way that you are thinking. So it has to be a choice, because 1,000 choices are confronting you every day. Am I going to do that? Am I going to do this? Yes or no? Am I doing this later? Am I doing this now? Should I do this? Should I do this not? So you're accustomed to the idea of choice. Now, this is why And in fact, this idea of heaven as a choice comes to you because you're so accustomed to making choices. Now, this is important because it's more like we speak your language. We come from out of time to pick you up, to make you recognize that the place that you find yourself has nothing to do with you and was all part of like a little mistake that took place in the universe that was corrected immediately, but you still think that you're in the middle of it. Now, we cannot just say that to you. So here's a voice from heaven speaking to you, giving you a choice. Is heaven a choice? And it drops the question on planet Earth. In the book, like in the book, A Course in Miracles, it drops the question, is heaven a choice? On day 138, you're finally ready to receive that question. Is heaven a choice? You know, you went already through all the things like, okay, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. There's nothing to fear. There's this, there's that. And the light has come. I've forgiven the world. Or who knows what lessons all you already did. You know, this huge, no, when I'm healed, I'm not healed alone. Okay, great. So now lesson 138. Finally, you get the question that is concealed by all the questions of the world. But we got this far, took all the other questions away. This one remains, is heaven a choice? And you're going to think about that. Well, is heaven a choice? Yeah, maybe it is, maybe not. Maybe it is, maybe not. Like, why would it be a choice? No, maybe it's not a choice. But where are you finding yourself? In the complexity of this world? Well, then definitely is a choice for you, because you chose something else. It's like the two things that can happen is pretty simple. You deny it or you accept it. Is heaven a choice? No, of course not. So here, accept heaven now. Accept heaven now. That's in fact the opportunity today. In day 138 of A Course in Miracles, you say you declared your own enlightenment. Heaven, I didn't have to decide for heaven. It is already mine. It is given. It is my experience of myself. If I let that completely be myself, if I let myself be myself and not try to manipulate myself in any kind of direction, but allowing this moment to be whole and perfect, heaven is no decision. So now, having still a choice of denying it or accepting it, you're being in fact guided what your answer should be to this question. Heaven is the decision I must make. I have to decide for heaven. And if I decide for heaven, I deny the rest that I think still has a place in my life. I deny the rest. I'm not going to deny heaven any longer because this voice from heaven is speaking to me. And I just love to accept that. I just recognize myself in it completely. I love the idea of perfection, of a love without opposite. I love it. I love the idea of being completely innocent and that fear and guilt have absolutely no effect on me. That there never was a past. That there never will be a future, but I can rejoice in the eternal moment that is now. So you recognize that, simple as that. So it is not a choice, but since I'm like, it is pouring out of every pore in me. It's like, oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. This is what life is. This is what has life to it. That's why this is so great. That's why you recognize it. Because you are life's principle. You are what love is. Of course, you're nothing else. You're not something else too. No. And you can only experience that now. So that is some light in the dream. I can tell that. Like that is some light in the dream. So happening today, bringing you the choice on a simple question that was covered up by all kinds of Yeah, you fill in the blank by all kinds of other considerations that had nothing to do with the truth of you. And that you have called life, but that isn't life, that's death, of course. So now, instead of thinking that you need to die first to enter into heaven, what many of us believe, like, well, when I die, I'll probably go to heaven, then we'll see what that is. It is like, no, you can't die. So this consciousness of you is completely ready to receive heaven because it was literally created for it. It is what it is. It is not something else too. All right, so that was the lesson of today. I wanted to bring that in this way. Actually, I wanted to make some music for it too, but I didn't succeed to do that right away. So now here it is. Who knows what happens today? So here is one thing then, continuing with chapter 18, which is also from the voice from heaven, chapter 18, we go to light in the dream. Now I'm going to read you a couple of things. So I got the dream and the reality is the title of the book, title of the chapter in the Urtext. The light in the dream. The dream and the reality is the title of the chapter. You who have spent your lives in bringing truth to illusions, reality to fantasy, have walked the way of dreams. For you have gone from waking to sleeping and on to a yet deeper sleep. Each dream has led to other dreams, and every fantasy has seemed to bring a light into the darkness, but made the darkness deeper. Your goal was darkness, in which no ray of light could enter. And that failed. Yeah. So a voice from heaven is telling you that failed. You who have spent your lives in bringing truth to illusions, and say making your illusions real, in other words, and fantasies as a reality, and dreams as a waking, for you have gone from waking to sleeping and on to a yet deeper sleep. Each dream has led to other dreams, and every fantasy seemed to bring a light into the darkness, but made the darkness deeper. Your goal was darkness, in which no ray of light could enter. As the light comes nearer, you will rush to darkness. See what I'm saying? As the light comes nearer, you will rush to darkness. That's an interesting idea, isn't it? So it's like you feel the light, the love, the, say, completely unconditional love coming to you, and what do? You try to hide in darkness. You try to look for ways out. Otherwise, like, what would happen if your secret darkness would come to the light? What would happen with it? So you're afraid of losing it. That's pretty interesting. So as the light comes nearer, you will rush to darkness, shrinking from the truth, sometimes retreating to the lesser forms of fear, and sometimes to stark terror. But you will advance because your goal is the advance from fear to truth, and you know this. The goal which you accepted is the goal of knowledge, for which you signified your willingness. Fear seems to live in darkness. Fear seems to live in darkness. When you are afraid, you have stepped back. Okay, so here are some really beautiful things that we love to take a look at. When you start to feel the pressure of light, you could say, when you start to feel that pressure of light, you feel that it's uncompromising, it's completely penetrative, it's completely taking you over. It scares the shit out of you. You're so much afraid of that light You shrink from truth. You know, so it's like, that's a normal response. It's like, it's way too overwhelming, you could say. It's so overwhelming to feel that light and love, and you want to hold on to any kind of thing that you can possibly see to at least bring it back to darkness, at least a little bit, so that you not be completely consumed by this light. You know it will get you, and that even scares you even more, because you're so afraid to lose the little that you have. Like, you know that it's going to consume you, that it's completely absorbing you in itself, that you're going to literally disappear into it, losing all this individuality of personality, of the image that you have made. For the goal which you accepted is the goal of knowledge. That is the goal that you accepted. Did you know that? For which you signify your willingness. It's like you signed a contract that your goal is knowledge. But it is quite something to actually come to the place where you can accept that. Fear seems to live in darkness. When you are afraid, you have stepped back. Let us join quickly in an instant of light, and it will be enough to remind you that your goal is light. See, we're talking here about an instant of light. It's like that's sufficient to keep you going, so to speak. And then you can head back into darkness for just a moment and do your thing there, whatever that is. But here, when you are motivated, when you are, say, inspired, when you are open for just an instant, you can join in an instant of light. Like, yeah, an holy instant. It's not taking any longer, so it's not occupying all your time that you need to deny this light. No, it's just a temporary relief of your own burden, you could say. So it's very interesting the way this is given to you, isn't it? It's like you have to be totally honest with yourself, recognizing that this is exactly what's going on with you. Like, you like your moments of light and say recognition, but then you need to head back into the world and do your thing there and be important and special and all this, until the moment that you give that up and suddenly there's the light again. Truth has rushed to meet you since you called upon it. If you knew who walks beside you on this day, which you have chosen, fear would be impossible. You do not know because the journey into darkness has been long and cruel, and you have gone deep into it. So if you knew who walks beside you on this way, which you have chosen, by the way, fear would be impossible. So it's not forced upon you. In other words, you have chosen this, that you want that. So, but if you knew who walks beside you, fear would be impossible. You have all the help that you can possibly imagine, in whatever way presented to you. You do not know because the journey into darkness has been long and cruel, and you have gone deeply into it. Well, no questions there. A little flicker of your eyelids, closed so long, has not yet been sufficient to give you confidence in yourself, so long despised. A little flicker of your eyelids, so closed so long. Yeah, you have kept your eyes closed so long not to actually face what's going on. Your denial has been so strong, in other words. Your denial has been so strong and so 100%. Yeah, has not yet been sufficient to give you confidence in yourself, so long despised. You go toward love, yeah, you go toward this light, still hating it, and terribly afraid of its judgment upon you, because you know that something went wrong and that you did it, and you have played your own little game in this, yeah, what is it? In this darkness game, you could say. You played your little game and you're afraid that you're going to be judged for it. So you feel that you're moving toward love, but still hating it. And you do not realize that you are not afraid of love. You're actually not afraid of love, but only what you made of it. So you see love as the greatest, say, competition, you could say, in your strive to stay in darkness. So you see it as something that's going to take something away from you. It's going to rip you apart. That's what you're afraid of. You're afraid of completely disappearing into it and losing everything that you've made of yourself. So love is the greatest threat, you could say. Love is a total threat to you. But actually love is not the threat. But love is what, yeah, the idea of what you've made of love is what you fear. Fear doesn't have a capacity to take away. Fear does not have the capacity to obliterate you, to make you disappear, to make you dissolve, to make you... No. It's like all these things that you're afraid of, it cannot do that. Be tempted not to snatch away the gift of faith you offer to each other. You will succeed only in frightening yourselves. The gift is given forever, for God Himself received it. You cannot take it back. You have accepted God. The holiness of your relationship is established in heaven. Well, here we are, circling around here. It is already, you have accepted God, of course. So be tempted not to snatch away the gift of faith you offer to each other. It's like, be gentle with each other, be gentle with yourself. Say, give to this, and yeah, say, support that. You will succeed only in frightening yourself, because if you offer fear to anyone, if you threaten anyone, you're only threatening yourself, because you're the only one afraid here. The gift is given forever, for God Himself received it. You cannot take it back. You have accepted God. The holiness of your relationship is established in heaven. Now, here's again, this is exactly why this is put in these words, to make it, in fact, make it acceptable to you that this is going on. See, it's like the idea of symbols, which is what language is. The idea of symbols is here used very specifically. So it's given to you in a way that you can understand and pick it up, you could say, could follow what's being shared and seeing what you're doing. Now the only thing is, since you're so accustomed to fear and you made a world out of fear, this world is going to fall apart a little bit, and you don't have to be the one trying to hold that together. So in fact, what it says here is like, don't be tempted to say, to take away the gift of faith to your brother. No, you can still offer him that there's an alternative to this, and you should. So don't take away the idea of faith in that sense to your brother, and the faith that there is an alternative, because you would only frighten yourself. Like it would be another layer of cement between the bricks of your denial, instead of letting this wall fall apart. So fear would make it solid again. And if you don't do that, if you don't express fear, if you don't scare your brothers with questioning the possibility of total trust in this, what is given, you would only make yourself afraid and come deeper into doubt and fear. You only scare yourself. It's like, stop doing that. You don't have to do that. Like, you've been scared enough. So, and you want to get rid of that. You want to release that because you also see that it doesn't bring you anything. So see how much this is given in a language that you can understand and accept. Otherwise you would never get this, you could say, because we in fact bring this, like this message from out of time, a voice from heaven is speaking to you, knocking on your shoulder with an idea like, you know you're dreaming, right? You know that none of this is real, right? It's like, there's an alternative. Yeah, there's an alternative. Why not consider that? Why not give that a shot? You don't want to hurt yourself any longer. Do you have enough pain? Do you feel enough separation? Do you feel enough, all of this that you experience here, and of the complexity and the, oh my God, the conflict and all of this? Are you done playing here? Are you willing to take another look at the alternative? You know that we're waiting for you, right? Yeah, we're waiting for you. Yeah, come on home. Yeah, come on home. No, you can leave your toys here. You don't have to bring anything. No, we don't need sickness. No, we don't need death. No, of course not. You can leave that behind. You don't have to take anything with you, really. So, but whatever you do, don't scare your brother, because you will be afraid. No, it's going to be fine. It's like you already are accepted. You don't have to undergo a proof of if you're right or accepted or not. No, you are completely accepted. You're wholly welcome. And in fact, you already chose for it. So wake up out of this nightmare that you're in. Wake up out of it. You don't need that. And you know that. This is in fact a message. When I bring it like this, it's almost like a story, which it is. It's like a story. So we have to bring this as a fairy tale to you, in fact, in order to accept it. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to relate to it. This is how deep and far you went into darkness. You really think you need to survive, and you need to do all kinds of things in order to sustain yourself and to maintain the power that you have, or the position that you have, or the image that you have about yourself, and you think you need to defend that. And none of that is so. So it's like, okay, well, take it easy, but yeah, you consider it, seriously, consider it. There's an alternative and you can accept it. So it's like the choices are already made. It's very simple. So now it's up to you. Are you going to deny this or accept this? That's in fact the whole story. It's very simple. But it's too simple. That's why we make it a little bit complicated, make 365 lessons. And seeing that that's necessary, and you do the book a couple of years, that's fine. I love this. I love it. So, continuing with the next part from chapter 18, the third, light in the dream. So the holiness of your relationship is established in heaven. That's why you can have these moments of light that we share. Your holiness of your relationship is established in heaven, right? Each instant that we spend together will teach you that this goal is possible and will strengthen your desire to reach it. And in your desire, see, this is exactly what is happening in this instant. So this moment we spend together in recognizing the light that is our true essence, and seeing that the rest dissolves, and we allow that to fall apart since we recognize it as a dream, and we want to know who we truly are. So that every time that we spend together, every instant we spend together, this will teach you that the goal is possible. You actually are experiencing light in the relief of being free of this place, and will strengthen your desire to reach it. And in your desire lies its accomplishment. So this is the desire you're allowed to have, you could say. Allowed in the sense of, well, this could be your only desire. In your desire lies its accomplishment. Your desire is now in complete accord with all the power of the Holy Spirit's will. So that's huge. Your desire is now in complete accord with all the power of the Holy Spirit's will. Yeah? By your desire for light, by your desire for truth, by your desire for the recognition that your brother is one with you. All the power of the Holy Spirit is in it. No little faltering footsteps that you may take can separate your desire from His will and from His strength. That's impossible. I hold your hand as surely as you agreed to take each other's. You will not separate, for I stand with you and walk with you in your advance to truth. And where I go, we carry God with us. Yeah, so this is what we do. It's a companionship, you could say. It's my mighty companion walking next to me. I hold your hand as surely as you agreed to take each other's. You will not separate, for I stand with you and walk with you in your advance to truth. And where we go, we carry God with us. Not one light in heaven but goes with you. Not one... Wait, you gotta take this thing away. Not one ray that shines forever in the mind of God but shines on you. Heaven is joined with you in your advance to heaven. Heaven is joined with you in your advance to heaven. When such great light has joined with you to give the little spark of your desire, the power of God Himself, can you remain in darkness? You are coming home together after a long and meaningless journey which you undertook apart and led nowhere. Not one light in heaven but goes with you. Not one ray shines forever in the mind of God but shines on you. Heaven is joined with you in your advance to heaven. When such great light has joined with you to give the little spark of your desire, the power of God Himself, can you remain in darkness? You are coming home together after a long and meaningless journey which you undertook apart and which led nowhere. All right, so it's like your mission failed. Okay, so might as well admit it. My mission failed. That's perfectly all right. And that's perfectly all right to admit it and see like, okay, well, I might as well give up my journey into darkness. Now you see, this is all accomplished. It fits so well with today's lesson. It's like absolutely fantastic. It's like heaven is the decision I must make. See, it becomes so simple that for me it's like, yeah, so what's not clear about this? It's obvious what is going on. Well, why don't you let that happen? Why staying in the denial of this? No need to. So the joy is in the recognition and in, say, accepting the idea that we walk home together. It's like, yeah, we're almost there. Don't worry. No, it's not going to take long. No. And it's a very joyous journey back too. So leave darkness for what it is. Leave it all behind. It's really like I said, like leaving these toys in the dreams of darkness. You don't need those toys. No, you will not miss them. In this blazing light that you're encountering and starting to accept as yours, it will disappear just like that. So is that the obliviation of you? No, you can never be obliviated. You can never not exist. Like your consciousness is eternal. It cannot go anywhere. So there's no need to be afraid of that whatsoever. All right, so it's time to listen to Master Teacher. Had another, say, episode ready to go, and it is from the same talk.
Fact, incidentally. You enter into his plight. You can't help it. All unhealed teachers do. They start out with the provision of the justification for the possibility of the sickness. You're a liar. He's a projection of your own mind, where in associations you can attempt to appear an unreality. It's too tough a lesson for you? Leave. You guys who somehow are going to let a sickness, you're going to let this tell me that guy is sick and then try to heal him. How the hell are you going to heal him if he's really sick? What is it that's sick? If you don't ask that question, you can't get this. You'll repair that with some sort of magical treatment, everything from booze to aspirin to some sort of laying on of hands. He'll simply re-illusion into another definition of his false self. Do you understand me? You haven't cured him of anything. What you've done was alleviate his magical associations with his own sickness. Well, you're not going to die of cancer, now you're going to get hit by a truck tomorrow or something. Getting hit by a truck is exactly as sick as dying of cancer. Not only is it exactly the same, but you have made a provision in your karma associations to be killed by a truck. Everything happens because it happens. Everything happens at your will. There is no alternative to this. You don't like that? Too bad. I'm teaching what you must term conceptual reality. Okay? There is nothing objective about reality. Subjective reality. This is the Course in Miracles. This is the declaration of all whole minds. There is nothing outside of you. Okay. There's no such thing as Newtonian physics. There's no such thing as separate objectivity, other realities. The whole basis of the Course is you are caught in thought forms that establish a distance between the thoughts that you had in your mind about a chair and a table and a Leslie speaker, a nice Leslie speaker. Now, do I have memories of this Leslie speaker? Sure. Is that Leslie speaker being manufactured in my mind? Yes. Yes, it is. Okay. If you really begin to do the workbook of the Course, the first lesson will be what? You don't know what anything is. It seems as though you know that this is a chair. But remember, that has been established in your conceptual relationship with yourself. I'm going to show you what the Course is trying to get you guys to do, you so-called healers. This is a chair, right? Not so. It is only a chair because within your own memory of your reflected perception, you have made it a chair. You don't know what this is. You don't know what this is. How do you know what this is? You don't know what you are. You don't know how you got here. You have no idea. Now, we can agree that this is a chair as long as we just want to associate in our own perceptions with what it is. Do you agree with me? Let's you and I get together and we'll have a relationship based on this chair. Now, it'll be perfect as long as we both just think it's a chair. The problem we're going to have is that because you are separate from me, your ideas about what this chair are not the same as mine. And if you think they are, you're wrong. Now, we can establish a temporary association with a chair as long as you don't say to me things like, well, I much prefer to have a padded chair rather than a chair like that. And I say, well, I don't know. What's wrong with this chair? I don't know. You say, who made it? It's not going to last very long. We're caught. How much is it worth? Huh? You and I are caught describing ourselves objectively. And you say, well, that's okay. All of my relationships are objective. Of course. You possess associate thought forms about yourself. You hold on to them and they rust and die. This is exactly the same as an idea in your mind. The idea in your mind will rust and die. This will rust and die. What's the practice of getting out of this? Ask it what it is. Huh? Just ask it. Say, what are you to that chair? Say that. What are you?
What are you?
Wow. Wow. Huh? Wow, look, the chair. This is the 7th lesson in the workbook. The chair is God. This is a godly. Sounds like pantheism. The chair has chair gods. Everybody has their own God, but there's only one. As a matter of fact, the chair god's got a better God than you've got. The chair god knows what it is. Just like a hippopotamus's God is hippopotamus because he doesn't question it. I mean, there's no difference between a hippopotamus and God. You just think there is. No. Why? You've got an objective reality that has given that a sense form. Okay, this is Course in Miracles, and I'm going to get in a holy instant just for a minute. Actually, you are really only establishing yourself each moment. Otherwise, you could never get out of here. You have in you each moment the absolute capacity to change your mind because time itself is not sequential and has no real longevity. It only has, it's chapter 13 of the Course, incidentally. It has longevity only in your own perceptual thought form associations that you hold by your previous frame of reference. Okay? This is a chair. I am a body. I can sit on the chair and be a body and have a heart attack. Ah! Call the medics. You think that I just didn't have a heart attack and die? You're wrong. You're wrong. I just had a heart attack and died. You guys get real defensive. If I really begin to present you with what you're doing in your own mind, you won't like me. You're defending yourself from heart attacks. You watch yours. You guys watch your cholesterol, you know. And you take... What are you caught in? You're caught in the thought forms of your own associations of body. You are not a body. You are as God created you. Okay, once you begin to study the cause and effect relationships with your body, you'll be caught forever. You'll never get out of it. You can't get out of it. How could you? You've given separate identities to the functioning of your own wholeness. You doctors treat patients like they're hunks of pieces. It's astonishing. Well, you got specialists in the everything. You know. Guys, imagine that. A doctor specializes in a particular thought form of the association with the apparent symbiotic relationship of something he has no idea. He's a plumber. It has absolutely nothing to do with what that consciousness is. Wow, is that something? Why would somebody want to do that? Healers? You've already acknowledged the sickness. Now you've become a specialist, a proctologist or something. The whole world is nothing but a species of proctology. I know you don't like that, but when I see what you guys do, you're always just peering into your own self. You know, you're just... And you defend it, too. And you can defend this if you want to. I mean, you really defend it. I wonder if there's that in heaven, you say. Gee, will I be that in heaven? Is what you say to me. So you are in a form of objective reality that precludes your coming together in your real associations with yourself. And this is the lessons that we have come to learn today. That through not identifying with my previous conceptual dualistic associations. Now this is literally true if this image that I have made with my mind is sitting out there is a body. I'll teach you the way the Course teaches us for a moment. At no real time is the body there at all. It's only a projection of your own imagery. Does everybody see that? You make up the images out of your own memory. Okay, I'll do that. Yes, I'll tell them. Yeah. We'll tell them that. That'll be okay. Yeah. So the holy instant then will be the time when suddenly this takes on a different aspect of reality to you, where you lose your objective associate identity with it. And that's an experience that has nothing to do with you. You can't accomplish this except by looking at the absolute magnitude of what I'm declaring to you. You're very frightful of doing it. I'm literally telling you there's no such thing as objective reality. Contained in you right now is an idea that this consciousness in its persona, in its personality, is real. You positively have projected that out from your mind. You've given it a separate identity from you, and then you question it in your own relationship. The consciousness literally cannot give you any response except what you have dictated in your own mind, and if you think it can, you're wrong. Why do you continue to study your ego, your personality relationships? What good are they going to do you? I'm going to give you a big one. You literally are not communicating. Stop pretending that you're communicating with your own projections. You're communicating only with yourself, and that is not communication. I know you think it is. I'm telling you that you're wrong. I'm telling you there are no such thing as separate thoughts. Take a bite of it. This is the teachings of the Course in Miracles. There are not separate thoughts going on in somebody else's mind separate from yours. You better be thankful there are. There aren't. Because if there were, your problem is literally not solvable. If that consciousness really has a separate associate thoughts from you, how are you ever going to get to know what he's talking about? You're just going to have to agree on a temporary association with him. You are not communicating with him. Stop pretending you are. That's a big step for you. What do you mean by that, you say? Well, let's get together and decide what we mean by that. How? You don't know who you are. If that's a projection of your mind, it's impossible that he is going to give you any message that you do not want to hear, so let's not kid ourselves about this. That includes the message of your death, his death, and every possible idea that you cherish in relationship to your conceptual self. How is this said? That's what this says. That's this Course in Miracles. How you could fall down into the idea that the Course in Miracles is an exchange in perceptual relationship is absurd to me. It has absolutely no meaning and no value. The declarations of A Course in Miracles from out of time is that time is not real, that this is not real, and that it never happened. And that the practice of coming to know that is a fallacy. That the practice of coming to know that is illusionary, but it's the only alternative. I am going to give you, through this mechanism of transformation, a new dream. It'll still be a dream, but it will be the bringing together of all of your memories into a harmonious association. Okay? It's still an image. It still appears to be separate. It gets brighter. It makes you happy. It makes you joyous. You lose the conflicts that you've established with that consciousness to defend your own associations with yourself. I don't know where you're hearing this. You got to wake up and hear it. Instead of trying to console, everything's going to be okay. The consoling is it's not going to be okay. All awakened minds or progressive minds who have turned their wills over to God console that the world will never be okay. The problem of the world cannot be solved, and if you'll stop trying to do it, okay, you'll discover that you always were the problem. And there never or ever could be a problem except as you have established it in your own mind. until you stop trying to define yourself in relationship with your own mind projections, it is impossible that this can occur. Why? You have the power of your mind to hold on to it and die in your own karma drama. And you do. Fortunately for you, since you invented time, you can change your mind about your conceptual associations with it. Okay? Time has no longevity more than an instant unless you give it that. Not that that instant is true, but that instant of the time of the apparent schism is what? The closest that you can get to reality. When would that instant be? When? Say it. Now. It would have to be now. All right? If you have shortened time, this is the pure Course in Miracles now. If you have shortened your perceptual determination not to die, and you haven't laid up a store that's making provisions for you to die, that's absurd. Why do you store things up? You're going to die anyway. Why don't you use them now and give them away in love? Oh, I wouldn't dare do that. How would I keep myself from what? Well, yeah, you guys go, I wouldn't dare do that. Until you do that, you'll never be alive. Some of you hear that. I know a lot of my people hear this very plainly. That's why they protect everything by giving it away. If you hold on, if you hold on to a perceptual idea about yourself, you protect it, you project it into the future. It rusts and gets old, and you die along with it. And you tell me that's okay. Well, go ahead. The whole teachings of Master Jesus Christ of Nazareth are you should live in the now, don't plan for the future, consider the lilies of the field, don't defend yourself, and you would be in heaven, and you are in heaven because you did that. Okay, the problem that you're having is remembering that you did it. It is impossible that I am presenting anything to you that has not been done in your mind. Where do you want to hear that? If I'm a construct of your mind, it must be that you have already remembered and ascended into heaven following the schism. It's impossible that that not be so. Isn't it? If perception is only past tense, how did I get into your mind in the first place? How come I'm telling you this now? What do you do with it? All I've ever done is tell you this. 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 All I've ever done is tell. Literally, all I have ever done is tell you this. You can do all sorts of things if you want to. They mean nothing to me. I'm what you call a designated whole mind. This is what I've got going on around here. We're very much aware, this is pure Course in Miracles now, that we have undergone transformations of our mind that give us the single provision of showing you your own reality. We do nothing but that. The exact difference in my mind and yours is not honesty, it's constancy, and that's what you can't stand about me. No matter what you tell me about yourself, I'll tell you you're perfect and happy and in heaven. And you'll say, no, I'm not, and I'll say, yes, you are. And you'll say, no, I'm not, and I'll say, yes, you are. And you'll say, no, I'm not, and you'll go through another death process, have a heart attack to prove that you're right. And then you'll come back to me again, and you'll say, well, nah, this time I got it solved. This time I'm going to be a human being on the planet Earth, and I'm going to live to be And I'll say, well, looks like you got a pretty good thing going there. Well,
wow. Time flies. Well, thank you so much for joining today in the Voice from Heaven. Did you hear the voice from heaven speaking to you? Great. It's closer than you think, isn't it? So I love it. So thank you so much for joining today in this miraculous program. Thank you so much for your part in it. And yes, we disappear in light together, and we can do this right now. So I'm going to play a song, and I wish you well for the rest of your day, and say return back to light anytime you want, because that's the only thing that's real about you anyway. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I love you. Thank you so much.